So Scorpio, this week from Lay Vampire, you pulled Anti-Hero, Maverick, Risk Taker, and Rule Breaker. And then from Chakra Wisdom, you pulled Quest. Now, Anti-Hero I love. The blessing here says that you are displaying to others who are thinking too much in boxes with labels that those who do good are not always going to fit a cultural stereotype. Working with this card says that your individuality is a gift from the divine. You are the only person on the planet like you. You truly are here for a purpose, and you truly are needed here. No matter how modest this purpose, do it well with all your heart, and there will be no more loneliness. But then when you look at that with Quest from Chakra Wisdom, some of you feel like your life is not happening. Quest, the very first quote for this card says, "When I am somewhere else, my life will have meaning." The inspiration says you may be on a quest that is unnecessary. Allow yourself the space for self-discovery. The personal question says, is it time to take a risk? Where in my life do I need to walk my talk? The key ideas are being open to wisdom, imagine dangers, and commitment to your path. So I think for some of you, it's time for you to take your own advice, basically, when you're looking at Anti-Hero. Because you're showing others the way forward in a way that, some people may not look at as, a way that could have been taken, but then at the same time, you're on an unnecessary path. And then the other thing with Quest 2, the big feeling for me always with this card is that you are already on the path that you were meant to be on. Your life does not have meaning somewhere else. It has meaning right now and where you're at right now. So I think the big message between the two is that Scorpio needs to take their own advice and start acting in that way. All right, Scorp, here we go. Here's the energy coming through. Yep. The Queen of Cups. Definitely, I've always seen this card as Scorp. And it's not to say that we don't have emotional wisdom. I just think that sometimes it may be difficult for us to tap into it. The Queen of Cups, though, being emotionally intuitive, and that is inherent for Scorp. Now, for some of you, it could have to do with another water sign, but I really feel like a lot of you are in tune with your own nature right now. And in the past, the Magician, so manifesting some cool-ass shit, right? The Magician, having the tools, the skills, and the ability to manifest whatever it is that you want in your life. To me, it also represents the thought. Everything that's ever been created has started with a thought. And this is you pulling from the divine source to manifest something awesome. And I love it because you're in tune with yourself, you're doing some manifesting, and you're showing people that there is a new path that can be taken to happiness, to fulfillment, to manifest the things that they want. I just think now it's the time for you to start actually doing that. This is suggesting you are, for sure. And in the present, wow, the Hierophant. So, when you're looking at thinking outside of the box, and I'm looking at like the Queen of Cups next to the Hierophant, definitely there's a grounded feeling here when it comes to the things that you're wanting to manifest. There's some spiritual grounding as well, absolutely, with the Queen of Cups, but I don't think that traditions has anything to do with Scorp. Being a fixed sign and looking at Taurus, absolutely, right? Doing things in a way that works for you, but what works for you may be a lot different for other people. What you do may not be so traditional, especially with Anti-Hero sitting there, but I think a lot of you are getting grounded in your own spirituality. And I like the Hierophant. I just think that some of you, really need to tap into that right now. Looking at Quest, and that's the only reason why I say that. It's like, some of you may be dishing out the greatest advice there ever was, but be damned if you're going to take it. Because there's still that feeling here that, you're waiting for something else to happen. Because, when you look at the Magician, yeah, you have the ability to manifest whatever you want, but have you truly done it? Is the question here. But I do like the Hierophant. I do think that a lot of you are grounded and stable right now, especially when it comes to your spirituality. Absolutely. Oh, future conditions. I'm telling you, with Quest and the Four of Cups, yeah. Inwardly, emotions are like blah. You're just feeling like blah, right? I'm not seeing this as depression. I just think some of you are so focused on what you already have, and you're looking at other things like, I don't need that. Why do I need that? You know, the other thing too is that when you're looking at boredom, you could be looking at what you have and going, you know, nothing seems like it's good enough, right? And again, with quest, feeling like your life has meaning somewhere else. What are you emotionally bored with? You know, that's immediately where you know, the questioning is. And what is it that you're truly manifesting, right? Okay, Scorp, so now the Two of Cups. You know, I don't usually see things like this happening for Scorpio with the readings that I do. You guys deal with such deep things that it ends up being like, you know, these really complicated internal things that are happening with external. But when you're looking at the Two of Cups as your best path to follow, the relationship. There's something about a relationship that I think some of you, you know, I don't know, there's like a lack of fulfillment when you're looking at it next to the Four of Cups. The Two of Cups, the emotional bonding between two people, you know, and again, it doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic relationship. And it could possibly be for some of you. But for some reason, there needs to be some focus on you sharing an emotional experience with another person. When you look at the Two of Cups, these two people are so absorbed with each other that nothing else in the world exists. They're sharing everything. But, you know, for some of you, you could be so wrapped up in, you know, the things that you're manifesting, your own spirituality, that, you know, you're just kind of feeling blah emotionally. And it's because there's a lack of something else, you know, and it's no wonder why quest is showing up. And for some of you, again, it could have to do with another person, and it could be another water sign. But I'm looking at everything externally. Great. It's great. You know what you're doing, right? You're in tune with yourself spiritually, but emotionally, something else is going on here. Oh, and your environment, the Two of Swords. So, you know, you're not really clear on what the hell it is you're manifesting, looking at the Two of Swords, you know, because emotionally, there's something going on with what you're trying to manifest. And if it has to do with a relationship, you know, you may be guarding yourself emotionally, looking at the Two of Swords, right? The difficult decisions needing to be made here, you know. And I think for some of you, looking at the Hierophant, you could be so used to doing things in a certain way that, you know, maybe changing things isn't really what you're wanting to do right now. Again, with the fixed energy, right? I think what you do spiritually is not in tradition whatsoever. You know, I have a hard time seeing that with any kind of a Scorpio. But something about your emotions within relationships, you're not open. You're not open. And you can't make clear decisions when it comes to either how to manifest this or what it is that you're truly manifesting within a relationship. Your hopes and your fears. And yeah, you know, that makes sense, right? Hoping for some emotional happiness, having your wishes fulfilled with the Nine of Cups, right? But the thing is, if you're not clear on what that is, how do you expect to manifest that, right? The Nine of Cups, to me, the big thing is when you're looking at that is you need to start asking those higher vibrational questions of yourself. What is happiness to you? What does that look like? Especially within relationships, because there's something wrong emotionally right now when it comes to this. If you have an opportunity to do some emotional bonding with somebody who gets you, who understands you, who shares the way that you think and the way that you feel, you got to stop blocking yourself emotionally, because you can't do that and then expect to have happiness or have your wishes fulfilled. You know, and I think your intuition is telling you this. It's just whether or not you're listening to it. Oh, and the outcome, the Emperor. Wow. For some of you, you know, like I said, it could have to do with another person. The Emperor could be Aries. This could be somebody who's older to you. You know, but then on the other hand, when you're looking at this internally, the Emperor is very much about getting your shit together. Getting order and structure out of chaos. But, you know, I'm looking at that, and I'm looking at the Hierophant, and I'm looking at somebody who's very stubborn and set in their ways. It's almost like, you know, and it's funny. right? Like I say it a lot for myself when it comes to, you know, some of the things that I say, and my husband will look at me like, really? You know, maybe you need to start taking your own advice. Like, nah, no. You know, I'm better off giving it than I am trying to apply it to my own life, which is where anti-hero is coming in. And that, I think, is true for a lot of Scorpios, But when it comes to relationships, I think a lot of you are being stubborn and set in your ways. And I don't think that you're clear on what that kind of happiness looks like to you. I do think that there is a need here for you to get some clarity when it comes to your emotions, and especially the emotions surrounding a relationship. Because again, you can't expect to manifest the things that you want if you're not clear. You're hoping for it, but what is it that you want? What is it that you truly want within a relationship? Now, you know, looking at the Hierophant and the Emperor too, this can also suggest somebody that may be coming through that has some wisdom for you in terms of, you know, relationships, possibly, right? The Hierophant, the spiritual guru, right? The Emperor is, you know, the father figure. But I just think that maybe some Scorps are just too stubborn. You're too stubborn, too set in your way. You have a set way of doing things. And to rock the boat when it comes to the way that you view relationships is, you know, I don't think is the right path. I just think some of you need some clarity on what happiness is to you, so that you're not feeling this emotional funk. All right, Scorp, we're going to take a look at the soul trees to see what other messages there are for you guys. But I really do think that a lot of you are having difficulties on what you're trying to manifest in terms of a relationship. There is a need here for you to start asking some of those higher vibrational questions of yourself. New path emerging and intention. What are your intentions? What is it that you truly want? New path emerging is good to see because, you know, energy is saying that there are new energies that are happening around you right now. I just think that you're dealing with things internally in a way that is not clear, right? You need to set your intentions. What is it that you truly want? Because you have a new path emerging for you. And it may have to do with a relationship. Be supportive. Make a genuine effort to show you care. Listen, if you are single and you have somebody that gets you, right? When you make that effort to show that you have feelings, that is going to open the door to the new path. You know, and the other thing too is if you are single and you're not seeing this relationship happening, you know, you need to be supportive of yourself as well, but you have to make an effort here, right? That's the other thing. You can't just sit around and not do anything and expect things to open up for you, right? You are limitless. Hell yeah. Recognize this truth. You can do anything you choose to do, right? You can do anything you choose to do, damn it. But you have to be clear. You have to be clear. And I like you are limitless because, you know, it reminds people that the meat suit is temporary. You are the spark of the divine. And you are limitless. You can create anything you want. Overall, Scorp, I just think that some of you may be a little stubborn, a little bit set in your ways. Maybe you're not too clear on, you know, what happiness is for you in relationships. I think that some of you need to get a little bit of clarity when it comes to that and start deciding what it is that you're truly trying to manifest. All right, Scorp. So I do feel like looking at this reading that a lot of you are very in tune with yourselves and your spirituality and your intuition right now. I just think that some of you aren't listening to it. Right? I think some of you may be really stubborn and set in your ways when it comes to the way that you view emotions surrounding a relationship. For those of you, you know, I think that you're not very clear on what it is that you're trying to manifest here, right? But yet at the same time, you're expecting to have your wishes fulfilled. And that's like not going to happen if you're not clear on it first, right? And again, there's a need here for you to set your intention because you do have new energy happening around you and a new path that is emerging. Absolutely. But I do think that a lot of you may be stuck in a set way of doing things. But emotionally right now, you're looking at blah, blah, boredom, yuck, right? Things aren't good enough or expecting something better to come along. But this being in your best path to follow, I'm telling you, if you have an opportunity to have some emotional bonding with another person who gets you, who understands you, it's time to start making that happen. It's just, I don't think that some of you are clear on that, but yet at the same time, you're expecting to have your wishes fulfilled. Stop being so damn stubborn, pay attention to your intuition, and start taking your own advice, right? Anti-hero is saying that you're showing people the way, a way that a lot of people didn't think was available to them. Right? Not fitting into that cultural stereotype. And I don't think that Scorpio does things the traditional way at all, when it comes to spirituality. But Quest is saying that you feel like your life is not happening right now, and that's not true. It is. There is a need here for you to take your own advice. And start asking those higher vibrational questions when it comes to what does happiness look like to you, especially within relationships. Now, for those of you who are in a relationship, you are limitless. I love this card because, again, it reminds you that the meat suit is temporary. What you are, what you truly are, is limitless. And you can create whatever it is that you want. It's just you need to be clear on that. Now, for those of you who are single, be supportive. You need to be supportive not only to yourself, but to the person that may be showing up for you. You need to make the effort. You can't sit around and not do anything and expect things to happen for you within relationships, right? But overall, you know, looking at the Emperor, definitely there's going to be order and structure, which, you know, I don't think that your stability is an issue. I just think emotionally you're having difficulties on what it is that you're truly trying to manifest. And it is important for you to get clear on what it is that you truly want, especially within relationships.